Elon Musk is probably going to be the guy who runs the money system, once he has his X project all in place that he's doing with Twitter. The whole concept is to have that be your wallet. That's all of Silicon Valley wants to be your bank. And I think Elon is no exception.
But what do you mean by, what do you think he's planning?
That was Adam Curry. He was explaining to Joe Rogan Elon Musk's plan to take over the money system. And I know what you're thinking. That is a ridiculous thought, but actually, it's not unique at all. Everyone in Silicon Valley wants to be your bank. Apple has Apple Pay. Google has Google Pay. Samsung has Samsung Pay. And now Elon Musk and Twitter are developing their own digital coin. And the reason this discussion was even happening on Joe Rogan's podcast is because they were discussing the future of digital currencies where governments have absolute control. And it could happen in two ways. Either from a central bank digital currency at the government level, or through a private currency such as Apple Pay or a Twitter coin that is controlled by the government. And the clips we're about to watch are a bit chilling, so I just wanted to warn you before we dive in.
What do you think he's planning?
Well, it will either be a coin that is specific to him, or just looking at his overall history where things he does usually turns into a government project. Maybe that's where the central bank digital currency comes in. I don't know. We just had Brazil and Argentina decide that they're going to have the same money, and it will be a digital peso or whatever it's going to be, and that will probably be a completely controllable central bank digital currency, which is being implemented everywhere.
And quick fact check, central bank digital currencies are here or very close on their way. If we look, for example, at the United States, they're currently in the development phase. And there are 11 countries that already launched their central bank digital currency. And then if we look at China, they are currently in the pilot phase. China is a leader when it comes to digital currencies. Even before their central bank digital currency, they were able to control the money supply. And because of that, they were able to implement a social credit system. Most people in China use apps such as WeChat Pay, a private company, but China has control over those companies. So if China is not happy with their citizens or the way they're acting or behaving, they can simply freeze their money. And Adam Curry believes that if this were to happen in the United States, a private company issuing a coin and the government controlling that coin, he thinks a good candidate for that is Elon Musk.
Know that Elon seems a very good, that he's doing that. That's what his whole overall plan is, I think. He's always said he wants to be like WeChat. And in China, everything's on WeChat, including the government, who then can turn off your money if you've been a bad boy. Yeah, I think that's coming.
The idea that there's a centralized digital currency connected to a social credit score system is absolutely fucking terrifying, because people self-censor already. You're telling people to behave and think in a certain way and follow a certain ideology. If they're financially penalized for not following, which they are in China, like in China, if they vary, if they stray from the path and, criticize the government or criticize or talk shit about anything, like, you can't fucking buy plane tickets. You're not going anywhere.
意味着你必须意味着你将来坐飞机呀、高消费呀，或者是什么贷款呐，都不能做了，都不可以。
Well, arguably, this is already happening in the United States. If you run a weed store or any other type of, or if you have a website that is considered, too conservative, too crazy, QAnon, whatever, then you can't get a bank account. You can't use any of the payment systems. They literally debank you, so you can't receive money.
Now, Adam Curry's claim about Elon Musk, it could be totally off, but that's not the point. The whole point here is that in the future, we end up with a digital currency, either from a government or a private company. Maybe it's Elon Musk, maybe it's Apple, maybe it's Google. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is we end up with a currency that is totally controlled. And the reason governments would be okay with these private coins is because it would be a lot easier to onboard new people. If a government comes out with their own central bank digital currency, a lot of people would run away. But if it's a Google coin or a Twitter coin, People will use the coins without even being asked. But governments will only allow this to happen if they are able to control the coins. Because if the government can't control it, they won't allow it to happen. For example, in the past, Facebook wanted to launch their own digital currency backed by fiat. But regulators were not happy because they knew that if they gave this power to Facebook overnight, Facebook would become the world's largest bank, actually, basically the largest government in the world. So without oversight, a government won't allow any of these currencies to thrive. But in the end, like we said, we end up with a currency that could be frozen if you misbehave. So what's the way out of it? I think if you're watching the channel, you know the answer.
The only way I know to resist that is literally Bitcoin and only Bitcoin.
And why Bitcoin? Because it is censorship resistant money. It cannot be stopped. And there's a fear that when we have central bank digital currencies in the future, Bitcoin will become irrelevant. But it's actually the opposite. When people wake up and they realize that their money can be frozen, their plane tickets can be blocked, they will wake up and everyone will want to get their hands on censorship resistant money.